Nearly every country in the world is in debt. The United States today holds a debt exceeding $38 trillion. dollars. The European Union carries around $14 trillion in debt. Japan's debt is approaching $9 trillion. Oil-rich Saudi Arabia, export giants Germany and China, all of them are deeply in debt. So a strange question emerges here. If everyone is in debt, then who is the creditor? This is exactly the point where the surface of the story begins to crack. Debt is not just a burden, as most people think. It is actually the skeleton of the modern world. Wars, crises, economic booms and collapses, all of them are built on this invisible structure. And when you start following the chain of debt, you come face to face with an unsettling truth. The world is not really in debt to someone else. It is in debt to itself. But that does not mean everyone benefits from this system equally. Today, total global debt has exceeded $315 trillion. That figure is nearly 3 times the size of the global economy. So how did we get here? The answer is not found in credit cards or digital currencies, but in wars fought centuries ago. In 1694, England was at war with France and had almost no gold left in its treasury. The king found his solution by rushing to the merchants. "Give me the money you have now," he said, "and I will pay you regular interest from the taxes I collect in the future." To manage this arrangement, the Bank of England was created. For its time, this was a remarkably advanced idea. The state could now spend money it did not yet have. In return, lenders received something extremely valuable: the promise of the state. A promise that could be bought, sold, and transferred. This is how government bonds were born, laying the foundation of the modern financial system. France copied the system. The Netherlands refined it. The newly founded United States used it to finance its war of independence and its westward expansion. National debt was no longer a source of shame, but a sign of credibility. A state that could borrow was a strong state. Empires once conquered land to obtain gold. Now they issued bonds to earn interest. The battlefield had changed. The war was no longer fought on land, but on balance sheets. Fast forward to today, and debt has become the world's largest product. Global debt increases by roughly $1 trillion every 100 days. Every country is in debt. Every bank is a creditor. And every citizen is both a debtor and a creditor. Through taxes, savings, and pension funds, trapped inside this system. So who is holding the other end of the rope? Let's start with the United States, because its debt affects not just itself, but the entire world. Roughly half of its $38 trillion in debt belongs to investors. Most of these investors are American: banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and even the US Federal Reserve. The remaining portion is held by foreign countries. Japan holds the largest share, followed by China. But contrary to popular belief, the debt the US owes to China is only a small fraction of the total. In other words, America's biggest creditor is America itself. The Treasury issues bonds. Banks and funds buy them. The central bank purchases them and creates new money in the process. Interest paid through taxes flows back into pension accounts. It's a self-spinning wheel. And this is not unique to the US. Japan lends to the US. The US lends to Europe through the IMF. Europe lends to developing countries through the World Bank. Developing nations, in turn, feed the system by holding their foreign exchange reserves in Western bonds. This is a global game of hot potato. But the potato itself is made of promises. Everyone is holding someone else's word. As long as no one stands up, the game continues. There is also a hidden but extremely powerful side to this system: the markets. Behind government bonds stand massive funds, central banks, and institutions managing trillions of dollars. They decide who can borrow cheaply and who will fall into crisis. When confidence disappears, currencies collapse and governments fall. Democracy chooses who governs. Markets decide who survives. Central banks are the heart of the system because they don't just manage debt, they create it. When they buy bonds, they create new money. Every unit of money in circulation corresponds to a debt somewhere else. There is no such thing as debt-free money. This system has survived for years thanks to one thing: trust. As long as investors believe governments will keep paying interest, even if the principal is never repaid, the wheel keeps turning. But what happens when trust breaks? We've seen it in Greece, Argentina, and Sri Lanka. When debt becomes unpayable, austerity, unemployment, and political collapse follow. Creditors suddenly become visible: the IMF, rating agencies, and large funds. And then what happens? New debt replaces old debt. The system resets.